Hey, creative souls, writers, word witches. As always, thank you for tuning in on this new moon in Libra. And in this video, I'll be talking about how we can think about, contextualize, use this energy to enhance our writing practices. And before I get started, I want to say that I almost didn't make this video. For those of you who follow me on, for instance, say LinkedIn, or if you're on my email list, you know that I have talked about recently that I'm in a state of burnout, as some people would call it. That's what I'm calling it because I think most people relate to that. They understand what that means. To me, it is something different. It is not so much that I have overextended myself. It means a lot of different things to me. And I'll make a whole other video to talk about this thing that I am going through, but I'm definitely going through a thing. And it's a reckoning of sorts. And I'll talk about what it is, what it means to me, and how I deal with these. Because those of us who are very sensitive, we experience these. And I mean sensitive in terms of, emotionally sensitive, energetically sensitive. And those of us who really are on a path, a spiritual path of deep inner evolution. When we are on a path like that, we are bound to have moments like this because the exterior world is not set up to allow us to have them. And so they can be a bit challenging. And so I do want to talk about that and how it can impact a writing practice. So be looking for that coming up. But the reason I decided to make this video today, even though I am experiencing this, is because way back when I first started this channel, I said I was going to take this build-in public approach. And this was a very new concept for me, a new thing. I'm very private, I'm very protective because I'm a very sensitive person, and I just find the world and people in general to be too harsh, too nosy, too crass. And I don't mean crass in language because that is me. I mean crass in terms of respect or lack of respect that humans show other humans when it comes to their own individual experiences in the world. But I decided to do this build-in public approach because I'm asking other people to be vulnerable with themselves as I support them in their writing practices. And I feel like if I'm asking that of them, then I need to do that myself. And granted, this is very different from, say, asking someone one-on-one to do that with me so I can help them and me doing it publicly. And I've grown into it. I've become more comfortable with it. And so it felt like the right thing to do. Uh, and I also want to make moments like this in life feel more acceptable, more part of life than they do now, because we generally have this idea of, moving in a straight line. And life doesn't work that way. We don't work that way. The cosmos doesn't work that way. And so, anyway, I wanted to get that out there so that this is where I am, and you can be looking for more from me talking about this because I think it's really important. I do want to talk about the new moon in Libra and what it means in general, and then how we can apply that to our writing practices. And I will elaborate as I go. So, as you probably know, anytime we have a new moon, this is about new beginnings, um, setting new intentions. And a new moon in Libra is specifically about relationships and balance. So, balance within relationships, encouraging fairness, partnerships, and social harmony. All right. So it really is a time to set intentions for creating more equitable collaborations and resolving conflicts peacefully and finding equilibrium in all areas of life. And so it's interesting to think about this in the grander scheme of things, what we're seeing in the world right now. And we just had this massive turnout this past weekend, over 7 million people, last I heard, for No Kings Protest Day. And so it's very clear where the masses are leaning more and more, people from all factions of life, regardless of education, socioeconomic level, regardless of religious beliefs, regardless of even now political party affiliation, or for those in between who are not affiliated with either party. So, despite all of the nonsense bullshit that is coming from the what I call the limp dick White House, because this behavior we're seeing is absolute limp dick behavior. It comes from a person, a group of people who are so uncertain of themselves, of their self-worth, of their masculinity, that they behave the way they're behaving and they're trying to bully people, and it's not going to work. I am convinced of this. We're not out of the woods yet, and I think it could get quite ugly before it gets better, but I have faith. So interesting that this new moon comes at this time right on the heels of this big protest weekend. And more we are seeing powers that be telling this administration no. And so, and I promise I will get to our writing practices in just a moment. But like I've said in past videos and in my Banned Books Week videos, politics are personal and the personal is political. The two are immensely intertwined, and politics impact every facet of our lives. And namely, right now, our freedom of speech. While that is there are attempts being made to take that from us, and none of us is safe now from that, because the fact that these actions that have been taken are so public, the fact that they are kidnapping people off the streets, is just to show us that we can do this. And they are starting with a certain group of people, but I do believe they are coming for us all. And this is not a conspiracy theory. It's just, it is what we're seeing. And the same is true for the fact that they have gone after powerful white men. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, James Comey, and other people in positions of power like Letitia James and what's the other guy? Adam Schiff. They've said they are coming after him. They have recently gotten approval to send troops into my city, into Portland. And so a lot of things are happening. And so the point of me talking about all this is that this new moon in Libra can really serve us well in our writing practices and beyond, because we need to continue to use our voices and our words to speak our truth and not be bullied into submission. And this is a great time to set our intentions. And so think about this, other key features of a new moon in Libra: a desire for new or refreshed romantic relationships. Okay, I don't speak to that. I'm not here for that. If you follow me for a while, have no interest in that. And but just know that if you are, you may get some support from this new moon around that. Could be that you are writing a romance novel, and so this new moon could really support you in that way. Other key features include friendships, professional partnerships, as well as setting goals related to your personal style. So we can think of this in terms of your exterior style. We can also think of it in terms of your writing style. So I hope that over the next 2 weeks, and just know this new moon, whatever intentions we set now, will carry us through for the next 6 months. So this is not just a 2 week window, right? Because then when we come to the next full moon in Libra in 6 months, I believe, I think I'm right about that, we will see the fruits of what we planted now. All right. So, use this to embellish your relationships of all kinds in your life and your personal style, your artistic projects. This is another feature of a new moon in Libra, and financial endeavors. So, say you want to make a living writing. Now is a great time to set the intention to do that. And maybe you already are, but maybe you want to grow that. It's a great time to set intentions for say, your novel or your short story collection that you're working on. Not just because of the new moon, and it's very fortuitous for us that it has fallen when it has. Of course, this doesn't happen by luck, right? It's in the grander scheme of things. The cosmos is at work, and this happens not even 2 weeks before NaNoWriMo. And as some of you may know, NaNoWriMo, the organization, has shut down. But there's no reason why we can't still do it. And so I am forming a support group for NaNoWriMo. If you would like to be involved in that, I will put a link in the description. And I will do another video very soon about it so that you can learn more about it and join us if you would like. But I'm calling it kind of going rogue a little bit because it goes against the typical NaNoWriMo approach, which is let's grind and write 50,000 words in 30 days. And, sometimes we can do that, but not always. And especially for those of us who are sensitive, who have certain kinds of brains, I think we need a different approach. And so this group I am forming will be a gentler approach to NaNoWriMo, which is why I call it going rogue. So now let's break down some of these features that I've talked about. So focus on relationships. Okay, this could be an ideal time to start new partnerships or to seek a fresh start and greater balance in existing ones. So, as you know, I always talk about our writing practices as our relationship with ourselves. And I think the way that we honor our writing practices is a reflection of how much we are honoring our impulse to write, which I believe this impulse is our life force. And so if we are not honoring that and we are not writing enough, and I can't say what that is for everybody, we become out of alignment. And I believe this is in part, what is happening to me right now. And as I said, I'll talk about that more in a future video. So this is a great time to reestablish your commitment to yourself and your writing practice. And it's a great time to reconnect with a character that you already know and know them deeper. It's a great time to get to know new characters. So if you have this novel idea that you want to start for NaNoWriMo, it's a great time to start really thinking about the characters more deeply, because as I always say, that's where the story begins. I don't believe it begins with plot or premise, like a lot of people say. It begins with the character. Because if we don't have the people, then the story cannot exist. So the people, the characters, always come first. This other feature, seeking balance and harmony. So this energy of the new moon in Libra encourages finding equilibrium and peace in all aspects of life, from personal and professional to financial. So like I said, you definitely can use this energy from the new moon to help maybe smooth out wrinkles in your personal relationships, whatever those might be, in professional relationships, and if money is part of your writing world, if you want to make money as a writer, and I will say, how many of us, I know a lot of people say, oh, I just write for myself. And this, of course, does not apply to everyone. And I would never say that it does. But I believe that for a lot of people who have this deep desire to write, this impulse to write, and have, say, a 9 to 5 job, they are constantly torn. There's this constant tension between their creative half and this other half who has to be out in the world making money. And I think that for many, maybe most of us who are compelled to write, if we could sit home all day and write and make money doing it, and I'm not talking, writing for a corporation or writing for a company, which I do some of that on the side myself. But if we had our way, and we are fiction writers, I think most of us would prefer being at home, writing, and getting paid for it. And so this is a great time to set an intention around what kind of return we would like to see in our writing lives for our creativity. Because our creativity is a precious thing, the world needs it. And I know we live in a culture that doesn't privilege that belief, but it is a belief. And I know when I work from that foundation, that belief, then it allows me to approach my writing with, I think, more integrity, more intention, and more often because I know that it's important. Also, this in terms of this idea of balance and harmony, also I think applies to how often you are able to write. Um, and again, for all of us, that is different. But I really think some of the biggest obstacles writers run into can definitely be their own inner thinking, but I think can also be their exterior world and even the people they live with who love them. And so when I think of harmony and balance with the new moon in Libra around a writing practice, I think about a more equitable distribution of domestic chores because these are the things that can sap away a writer's energy. And so a lot of it comes back to, again, what we value. So let's, as an example, take, and this is a very kind of blatant example to make this point. Let's say we have a heterosexual couple, and this can happen in other types of partnerships as well, but this will illustrate it clearly. The man traditionally goes off to work and makes money. The woman is at home for some reason. Maybe she's home raising kids. Maybe she chooses to be home, and maybe this is something they've agreed on. And maybe this woman is a writer. And so it's very easy for the couple and for the culture to think, well, the man's going out and making the money. She is supposed to be doing all of the household chores. Well, not if she's a writer. It's just my belief. That is her job. And so I still believe they should split the chores. Because what happens if she does all the chores? Her energy gets sapped, her days get eaten up, and she doesn't have the time she needs to write. And of course, those roles could be swapped. Could be the woman going out to work, the man staying home. If he's a writer, still they deserve to split the chores. All right. That is my soapbox forever and ever till the day I die. One of my many soapboxes. Also, the emphasis on fairness and equity. A big topic in the world right now, and again, relates to what I was just saying. You may be inspired to address imbalances in a relationship and manifest more equitable collaborations. So again, if you're in a relationship like I described, please say something. Please say something. And my hope for you is that if you say something, you are with a partner who will believe you and will understand the importance of this and who will not just go, and then go back to doing the same old thing. but will make a change so that you can carve out the space you need as a writer with a capital W. Not somebody who just farts around with writing, not somebody who just plays around and writes cute little stories, somebody that's very serious about writing. Um, as I said at the beginning, a time for intentions. It's a powerful opportunity to set intentions for the next, as I said earlier, 6 months, especially concerning partnerships, your social life, or a creative project. So again, perfect timing for NaNoWriMo. For me personally, with my novel, I don't know if I've mentioned yet, my release date is May 1st, 2026. I will talk about why I chose that date again in a future video. Um, so this is a great time to set intentions for what we want to do and see in the next 6 months around our writing. In terms of writing lives, partnerships can mean all kinds of things. It can be our writing group members if we are in a writing group. It can be our relationships with our characters because those are very real relationships. It can be our relationship with ourself. It can be relationships with our team of people who help us get our novel out into the world, whether we go the traditional route and choose an agent and then work with a publisher, or whether we go the indie route like I am and we create our own team of proofreaders, book designers, illustrators, cover artists, and ARC readers, all of these people. And there's a term in indie publishing called your street team. And so for me, that is one thing that I will be doing over the next 6 months is bolstering the followers I already have, the supporters I have, and creating my street team who can help me disseminate um, awareness about the novel, help me find the right people to read my advanced reader copies so that I can get reviews. All right. So I hope that you will do the same no matter where you are in the process of your project. I hope that you will do that. A new moon in Libra is all about a desire also for beauty and aesthetics. So, with Libra's influence, intentions can also be set around improving your personal style or artistic endeavors. So, let's talk about artistic endeavors first. This is your writing. That's what I'm going to speak to because that's why I'm here. So, again, prime time to really get real with yourself and think about and get clear about what it is you want and then do something about it. It's not enough to just know it. We have to do something. We have to take action and be willing to see it through, despite obstacles. We just have to. And now, personal style. This is something that's been on my mind. So, when I was younger, I was a little fashionista and I was really into clothes and shoes, and not just, I didn't feel and still don't feel on a surface level. To me, it was a deep expression of who I was. And then as I got older and became a poor, starving adjunct professor and a divorced single mom, money became an issue. And so, having the wardrobe that I would like went out the window because I had three other little people to clothe and think about. And so I couldn't think about those things myself. And universities and other higher learning institutions don't pay adjuncts nearly enough and don't offer them the benefits they deserve, and on and on and on. And I won't go off on that tangent. But suffice it to say that things change. Then came the pandemic, and we were all locked inside, and so many of us got used to wearing sweats. And for some of us, for a time being, the same sweats many days in a row. I think a lot of us got depressed. Um, and it's really hard to care about much else than just putting one foot in front of the other when that happens. And so I've been thinking a lot lately about my sad little wardrobe and doing something about it. And so lately, just little by little, I have been buying things that I feel like reflect who I am. And it feels really good. And I think, sometimes people get caught in this idea that caring about clothes and things like that is kind of superficial and shallow. I don't believe it is, though. I do believe it is a representation of who we are. And I was talking to someone I know very well the other day, and she was telling me that the way I dress is not even close to the person I am inside. And it creates this disconnect, I think, in us. And so that's one thing I'm doing for myself, and I hope that you will do the same for yourself if you can. And I'm not saying you need to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a whole new wardrobe. Just piece by piece, start thinking about it. Like, who are you on the inside, and is it reflected on the outside? Great time to be thinking about that and doing something about it. Another feature, potential for transformation. So the celestial aspects, such as squares to Jupiter and Pluto that are happening now, can bring up emotional matters and encourage transforming old patterns in relationships, leading to more authentic connections. All right, so surprised that I'm going through this burnout, ascension, returning to myself phase that I'm in. Um, which can be uncomfortable. It's really in my mind a beautiful thing. And I've done these enough to know that I'm going to be good. Um, and like I said, I'll talk more in depth about this because I think it's a really important topic that people don't want to talk about because they think of, what we now call as burnout. I think it's something else. Um, but people see it as a weakness, and it is not. It is actually a strength. It's our inner wisdom knowing something's going on here, and I see it as an up-leveling of sorts. All right, so again, great time to be in a phase where you are grappling with your own relationship with yourself. And that will surely be reflected in your writing life. And then the last feature I want to talk about is calm after chaos. So the new moon can offer a sense of calm and a chance to reset after a period of intensity. So yes, again, this is where I am. I'm wondering how many of you are as well. If you feel like you have been through this intense period and now are being thrown into a space where you need to kind of step back and reflect and calm the fuck down. Like that's what my system is telling me. Like step way back and reevaluate some things. And I'll share with you what those are when I make my other video about so-called burnout. So I hope that you will use the power of this new moon. Libra new moons, I think, are very lovely. I have a Libra rising, and so I really resonate with the new moons in Libra. But I love the balance that they create, the balance that they bring to us. And as I said, perfect timing, not coincidentally, I don't think, right before NaNoWriMo. Please check the description. I will share a link to the support circle that I have formed. I hope you will join us because I do want to support you throughout November as you really clearly and definitively focus on your novel, your short story collection, whatever it is you're working on for the month of November with deep intention. All right, lovely writers, as always, I send you mad writing mojo. Happy writing.